Have you ever had that nagging voice? You know, the one in your head that just whispers doubts?
Mm-hmm.
Tells you you're not good enough? Maybe insists that you're, definitely going to fail.
Oh, absolutely. That persistent inner monologue. It can really feel like your own worst enemy sometimes, can't it?
It really can. It's exhausting.
It's remarkably common, that constant internal chatter. And yeah, it can be incredibly disempowering. Keeps us stuck.
Right. So, welcome everyone. We're doing a deep dive today into that exact voice, the inner critic.
Mm-hmm.
Our mission really is pretty clear. We're going to unpack what this pervasive thing actually is.
Yeah, where does it come from?
Exactly. Understand its surprising origins, maybe, and most importantly, give you a powerful toolkit.
A toolkit. I like that.
Yeah, something to quiet its negative influence and, amplify a more empowering voice inside you instead.
It's about taking back control, isn't it?
Totally. Helping you take control of your thoughts and just feel more empowered day to day.
It's a fundamental shift, really. Moving from just like taking those internal hits to becoming the architect of your own story.
Yeah.
Your own narrative.
That sounds like a journey definitely worth taking. Okay, let's start by unmasking this inner critic then. What exactly are we talking about here? What is this internal force?
Okay, so we're basically talking about those nagging thoughts, right?
Yeah.
And the negative self-talk that just plunges us into self-doubt.
Mm-hmm.
It's that voice constantly saying, you're not good enough, or you'll never manage that. It actively undermines your progress, sometimes before you even start.
And it has certain characteristics, right? It's not just any thought.
No, exactly. It's often really harsh, it's repetitive, and crucially, it uses language you would never dream of saying to another person. Not even close.
Right, you wouldn't talk to a friend like that.
Never. Think of it like that relentless tape loop in your head, just replaying every perceived mistake or flaw over and over.
It's like having your own internal prosecutor just constantly finding fault. And in psychology, don't they call these patterns cognitive distortions? How do those fit in?
Yeah, cognitive distortions, that's the term. They're essentially habitual ways our minds process information, but often inaccurately and with a really strong negative bias.
So like mental shortcuts that go wrong.
Kinda, yeah. They're like mental filters that warp reality, making mountains out of molehills or taking things personally that have nothing to do with you.
Can you give an example?
Sure, like all or nothing thinking. That's a big one. It tells you if you're not absolutely perfect, then you must be a total failure. There's no middle ground.
Right, or catastrophizing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Where one tiny mistake snowballs in your mind into the absolute end of the world. These are the kinds of tools your inner critic uses to, like, build his case against you.
Okay, and here's the bit I find really interesting. Despite how utterly mean and, frankly, unhelpful it feels, your inner critic actually doesn't hate you. It needs your help. That feels really counterintuitive.
It absolutely does. But its core motivation, maybe surprisingly, is actually trying to protect you.
Protect? How?
It genuinely believes it's trying to shield you from potential failure or rejection or, experiences it thinks you just can't handle.
Huh.
It often acts like a scared, kind of young part of yourself, lashing out from fear, not from malice. Imagine like a tiny, really anxious guard dog in your brain, barking furiously at anything new or challenging because it just sees threat.
So it's not deliberately trying to sabotage us, but its methods are just completely counterproductive.
Totally.
I mean, if that internal guard dog keeps barking like that, what are the real-world consequences? It must have an impact.
Oh, the consequences are huge. It's significant. While the intent might be protection, the method prevents you from taking necessary risks, right? Or pursuing opportunities that could be amazing. And it can deeply, deeply impact your self-esteem. Think about someone who, say, dreams of starting their own business. The inner critic might just scream, "You'll fail. Everyone's going to laugh at you. You're not smart enough for this." And that fear, which is like disguised as protection.
Keeps them stuck.
Exactly. Keeps them stuck in a job they hate. It's a major contributor to stress, anxiety, even depression. Plus, it affects relationships, your ability to achieve even small goals. It just keeps you small, convincing you you're not capable of more.
Wow. That makes so much sense, though. It's trying to keep you safe, but it ends up keeping you from actually living.
Precisely.
Which leads perfectly into the next big challenge, doesn't it? How on earth do we tell its voice apart from other internal signals, like intuition? Because that can be really tricky.
It is tricky. That's a crucial distinction. And yes, where a lot of people get confused.
So the inner critic, sometimes called the gremlin.
Yeah, the gremlin, it fundamentally dislikes change. It wants to keep you right where you are, even if it's unsatisfying. Its voice comes from your head. It's driven by fear, by all the what-ifs, the hypothetical negative.
And the tone.
The tone is key. It's generally not nice, often mean, disempowering language. Lots of shoulds or musts that just make you feel totally inadequate.
Like, you shouldn't try that new project. You're going to mess it up, just like last time. That kind of thing. It's rooted in past perceived failures and projected future disasters.
Okay, so the gremlin is all about staying put, fueled by fear and negativity. What about intuition then? How does that sound and feel different?
Intuition, or you could call it your soul voice, is completely different. It actually encourages beneficial change. It steers you towards what genuinely makes you happy, what aligns with your authentic self.
And it comes from...
It resonates more from your heart, not your head. To tap into it, you often need to slow down, quiet all that mental noise, and just ask yourself, okay, what does my heart say about this?
So it feels different, totally different. Intuition is like your internal best friend. It's supportive, encouraging, protective, but it gives clear, simple guidance. It doesn't need to over-explain or pile on the fear or judgment. It might just whisper, take that leap, it feels right. It's not screaming, don't move, like the critic.
That contrast is really stark when you put it like that. One feels heavy, like dread. The other feels like a gentle nudge.
Exactly. A gentle but firm nudge towards growth.
So for someone listening who wants to tune into their intuition more, what are some practical ways to do that?
Well, practices that cultivate inner stillness are really key. Things like meditation, just sitting quietly. Spending time in nature often helps. Reflective journaling, too. They're all great ways to quiet that incessant chatter from the critic.
Right.
And allow your intuition's wisdom to actually surface. These aren't quick fixes, mind you. It takes consistent practice to build that ability to tell the voices apart.
Okay, consistency is key. And what's really fascinating, as you mentioned, is that these critical voices aren't set in stone. They can change.
Yes. They can absolutely change. It's not overnight, like we said. It's a process. But it's possible.
So if we can learn to recognize the critic and tune into our intuition, what's the third voice we're aiming to cultivate here, the one we want to amplify?
That would be the inner coach. Think of it as building an internal mentor.
Okay, the inner coach.
Yeah, this is that positive, encouraging voice. It champions your growth, emphasizes your strengths, offers constructive feedback without judgment, and motivates you to see challenges as opportunities. Opportunities to learn, not just potential failures.
So the goal isn't necessarily to completely silence the critic.
Yeah.
Because that sounds hard.
It's incredibly difficult, maybe impossible to silence it completely, and maybe not even the goal. Instead, it's about learning to manage its influence, to turn down its volume, essentially. And at the same time, amplify the supportive, growth-oriented voice of your inner coach. It's really a shift from self-criticism towards self-compassion and self-support. And that shift ultimately leads to, greater success and well-being, both personally and professionally.
Okay, building on that, let's pivot to the how, the really actionable stuff. We've talked about what the critic is, how to maybe distinguish it. Now, what are some core strategies for actually managing it and transforming it?
Right, the practical tools? Well, a foundational strategy, one that's often kind of misunderstood, is practicing self-compassion.
Self-compassion. It sounds a bit soft.
It sounds soft, but it's incredibly powerful. It's not about letting yourself off the hook or making excuses. It's more like the anti-fragility strategy for your mind.
Okay, explain that.
It just means treating yourself with the same kindness, the same understanding, the same patience you'd offer a good friend who is struggling.
Right.
So when things go wrong, instead of launching into harsh self-criticism, I'm such an idiot, you acknowledge your feelings. You remind yourself, hey, everyone makes mistakes. This is tough, but I can handle it.
And studies back this up.
Absolutely. Yeah. Studies show that far from being self-indulgent, people who practice self-compassion actually show greater confidence, more motivation, and improved performance. Why? Because they're not paralyzed by the fear of beating themselves up if they fail. They learn faster from mistakes because they don't get stuck in shame.
That reframe is so important. It's not weakness, it's actually strength, being your own ally. Okay, what else can we actively do?
Another absolutely critical step is just becoming aware. You need to identify your triggers. The critic loves operating in the shadows, so you got to bring it into the light.
How do you do that?
Start noticing when you're being self-critical and what situations or maybe people or even specific feelings consistently trigger that voice. Journaling can be a really powerful tool here. Tracking the patterns helps you see connections you might otherwise miss. Like you might realize, wow, my critic always flares up right before I have to give a presentation or every time I get feedback from that one person.
Okay, so awareness and triggers. Then what? Once you notice it happening, what's the next step to kind of disarm it in the moment?
You challenge the negative thoughts directly. Remember, the critic thrives on unchallenged assumptions. Facts are like its kryptonite.
Okay, facts.
So ask yourself, is this thought actually based on facts or is it just an assumption, an old story? Is it realistic or am I blowing this out of proportion? Confront it with evidence from your past successes, your skills, even just common sense.
And reframing helps too.
Definitely. Practice reframing those negative thoughts into more positive or at least neutral ones. It reduces their power. So instead of, I'm terrible at this, maybe try, okay, this is challenging and I'm learning as I go.
Makes sense. What about things like mindfulness?
Yes, engaging in mindfulness or meditation regularly is huge. It helps you observe your inner critic's negativity without getting totally caught up in it. It creates a bit of distance, a calmer mental space.
Right, you see the thought but don't have to be the thought.
Exactly. And importantly, especially if these patterns feel really deep or persistent, don't hesitate to seek support. A therapist, a coach, support groups, they can offer personalized strategies and guidance.
Yeah, sometimes you need that outside perspective.
Definitely. Sometimes these patterns are so deeply ingrained, they almost feel like part of who we are. And that's when professional guidance can provide tailored insights and tools you might not discover on your own.
Okay, so beyond just managing the critic, how do we actively empower what you called our basic self? How do we cultivate that true, lasting confidence?
Right, self-empowerment techniques. That sounds fancy, but really they're just personal growth activities. Things designed to build your self-worth, your sense of accountability, your courage, often by tapping into talents or resilience you didn't even know you had.
Okay.
A fundamental concept to grasp here is FEAR. Have you heard of this acronym? Fantasized expectations appearing real.
Fantasized expectations appearing real. FEAR. Like that.
Yeah. Understanding fear often as a product of your own thought, like a projection onto the future. That's the first step to conquering it. It shows you it's not necessarily a solid wall, it's often a mental construct. And mental constructs can be dismantled.
That's a huge realization. Fear isn't always this concrete thing out there. It's often something we're creating internally. So how does that idea help build confidence?
Precisely. Because if fear is often a construct, then confidence isn't some magical feeling you just wait around for. It's more like a muscle you build.
Okay, build it how?
Through successful experiences. By intentionally giving yourself daily opportunities for success, even really small ones, you significantly raise your actual competence. And that competence feeds confidence.
Give me an example of a small success.
Okay, say your inner critic constantly tells you you're lazy, you can't even get out of bed on time. Then simply getting up when your alarm rings. Just doing that one thing, that's a small victory.
Right. Tiny
win. And over time, these small wins stack up. They provide hard evidence to your inner critic that actually you can succeed. This also ties into what's sometimes called basic self-work or inner child work. It's not about being childish. It's about reconnecting with that fundamental, authentic part of you. The part that holds your raw creativity, your energy, your deepest needs before the critic learned how to shut them down.
So getting back to that core self.
Exactly. Freeing that basic self helps you identify your real needs, practice telling your truth, address core issues. It really unlocks your potential.
That makes total sense. Building up from the core, one small win at a time. Okay, let's get super practical. What are some specific techniques people can start using, like today?
Okay, let's list a few. First, visualizations. This is powerful. Create really vivid mental pictures of yourself confidently achieving your goals.
So like mental rehearsal?
Exactly. If you're nervous about, say, public speaking, mentally rehearse the entire thing going flawlessly. See yourself calm. Hear yourself speaking clearly. Feel the positive audience response. Make it real in your mind first.
Okay, visualization. What else?
Second, affirmations. Use positive statements, always in the present tense, to express your desired outcomes. Things like, I am capable. I handle challenges effectively. I am deserving of success.
And you just say them
Write them down, say them out loud, repeat them often. Consistency is really the key here for them to start sinking in.
Okay, I've definitely heard about affirmations. Visualization adds a nice layer, though. But what about when those negative thoughts still inevitably pop up?
Yeah, they will. That's where positive self-talk and reframing comes in again.
Yeah.
Consciously catch and replace the negative thoughts. Swap, I can't do this, for something like, okay, I'm going to try my best and learn from this experience, whatever happens. It's not denial. It's reorienting your focus towards capability and learning.
Right. And goals. You mentioned goals.
Yes. Set realistic goals. Crucial. Break down those big aspirations into smaller, manageable steps. Using the SMART criteria helps a lot.
SMART. Specific, measurable.
Achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Specific goals kill vague doubts. Measurable goals give you proof of progress. Achievable goals stop you feeling overwhelmed. Relevant goals keep you aligned with what you want. And time-bound goals stop the critic from endlessly procrastinating for you.
And celebrate the steps.
Yes. Celebrate each milestone, no matter how small it seems. It builds momentum and motivation, reinforcing that you are moving forward. Finally, seek role models and mentors. Find people who inspire you, who seem to embody that inner coach quality. Learn from their stories, their challenges, their successes.
Those are all fantastic, really practical tools for everyday life, but let's connect this back. For those times when you know this stuff intellectually, but you just don't feel it changing emotionally, that frustrating heart-head lag you mentioned, are there deeper techniques?
Yes, absolutely. For those really ingrained patterns where the knowing hasn't quite translated into feeling, there are powerful experiential techniques like chair work.
Chair work. Tell me more about that.
Okay, so chair work comes from traditions like psychodrama and Gestalt therapy, but it's used in lots of approaches now. It's especially useful for bridging that heart-head lag.
Yeah.
You intellectually know the critic is exaggerating or wrong, but you still feel its sting, its power.
So it's a way to get the emotional side on board with the logical side.
Precisely. It works on three main principles. First is multiplicity. The idea that we all have many different parts inside us, the critic, the anxious part, the wise part, the child part, whatever. Chair work gives these parts a physical place, like separate chairs.
Okay, different chairs for different parts.
Second is embodiment and personification. You actually physically move between the chairs, speaking from the perspective of each part. This makes them feel more distinct, more real, easier to understand and interact with.
You actually become the critic for a moment.
You give voice to it, yeah. And third is dialogue. The core idea is to get these different parts talking to each other, or talking to you in your centered self chair, maybe with a therapist guiding. The goal is to resolve those inner conflicts and promote healing and integration. It's literally having a structured conversation with yourself.
That sounds incredibly powerful, maybe a little intense. Can you walk us through a simplified version, something we could even visualize mentally?
Sure. You can definitely do a version mentally or with empty chairs at home, though working with a trained professional is often recommended for deeper stuff. But a simplified flow might look like this. 1. Ground and resource yourself. Start in a center chair, representing your calm, aware adult self. Feel your feet on the floor, take a breath. This is your safe base.
Okay, start from a calm place.
2. Engage the inner protector if needed. If you feel resistance or fear about doing this, imagine that protective part on another chair. Give it a voice. Acknowledge its fear, maybe thank it for trying to keep you safe, and ask its permission to explore gently. Validating its intent is key.
Acknowledge the resistance first. Makes sense.
3. Dialogue with the problem parts. Set up 2 imaginary chairs. Maybe one for your inner critic, one for the part that feels anxious or inadequate. Move between them. Or just shift perspective mentally, letting each part speak. What they're actually feeling. Let them express themselves fully.
Let them have their say.
4. Take an observer stance. Imagine stepping back maybe to a third chair or standing beside a wise, compassionate guide figure. Look at the dialogue between the parts from this detached, kind perspective. What do you notice? What insights arise? No judgment here.
Get some perspective.
5. Develop solutions and integrate. Return to your center chair. Reflect on what you learned. What do these parts need? What new, more helpful self-talk could you practice? What small action could you take? This helps integrate the emotional processing with the intellectual understanding, bridging that lag.
That's a really profound way to interact with your inner world, not just thinking about it, but actually engaging with it. What kind of impact does this have?
The impact can be really significant. Pilot studies and clinical experience show chair work can lead to noticeable improvements in things like depressive symptoms, better emotion regulation, a reduction in self-criticism, and importantly, a boost in self-compassion. It helps people move from automatically self-criticizing to being able to consciously self-reassured. It's like you're actively rewiring your internal dialogue patterns.
Wow. Okay. So we've covered a lot today. We've navigated the complex landscape of this inner critic, from understanding its, well, protective but misguided intentions to telling it apart from your intuition, and importantly, cultivating that inner coach.
And we explored a whole range of strategies too, from daily things like affirmations and challenging thoughts, all the way to the deep impact of self-compassion and even innovative techniques like chair work.
So if there's one key lesson from this whole journey, what would you say it is?
I think the key lesson is truly profound. Your inner dialogue isn't just some random background noise. It is actively, constantly shaping your reality. It's limiting what you even believe is possible for yourself.
Right. It sets the boundaries of our world in a way.
Exactly. And so by actively engaging with it, by working to transform this internal conversation, you're not just quieting a negative voice. You are stepping into your power. You're becoming the empowered author of your own life story.
It really is about claiming your internal narrative, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And remember, this is a continuous journey. It's ongoing self-discovery, ongoing transformation. So keep exploring these ideas. Keep practicing the techniques that resonate with you. Your inner champion, that inner coach, is really waiting to rise up and lead the way.
That's a great way to put it. So as you, our listener, go about your day after this, maybe consider this provocative thought. Think about a dream, or maybe a goal, that your inner critic has consistently shut down, called it too risky or impossible or not for you. What would it look like if you approached that specific fear, not as a command you have to obey, but maybe as a scared part of you that's simply asking for your attention, asking for your reassurance? How might your journey unfold if you brought self-compassion and just a willingness to explore rather than immediately retreating when that particular inner voice pipes up? Something to think about.